Hello and a warm welcome to all. Today, we are delighted to have with us a dynamic women leader, a leading agronomist and a microbiologist at Embrapa. She has spent over 4 decades pioneering research in biological nitrogen fixation, helping farmers reduce chemical fertilizer use through sustainable practices. In 2025, she has made history as the first Brazilian woman to receive the World Food Prize for her groundbreaking contributions to tropical agriculture. She is Mariangela Hungria da Cunha. Welcome, Mariangela. It's an honor to have you with us today.
Wow, it's my honor, and thank you very much for the opportunity of talking about biologicals in agriculture.
Indeed. And we also have with us the CEO of JBL, Mr. Roger Tripathi, into the session. Roger.
So my introduction, I think most of my friends uh, know about me, and I just wanted to welcome Mariangela and thank you, Sulakshana, for this organizing this podcast or interview. Why we are so excited today? Because in 2022, 2023, when we started the Women in Agriculture series, where Mariangela was the first few we recognized as the women leaders who are really contributing at that time when not many people were celebrating her work, but we could see that she is really at the right path because not many scientists or people were believing in biologicals, and Mariangela did believe in biologicals. So if you remember, we had your first Women in Agriculture interview in our Women in Agriculture series. And today, I think you are again the first one that we are interviewing again in the Women in Agriculture series, really to celebrate and also celebrate the validation that when people are really persistent, they don't give up and they believe in something, and they know that the farmer centricity and sustainable farming, these two things are critical for our life. And that's why we want to celebrate your life and your achievement today with this interview. Welcome,
Oh,
Angela.
well, thank you very much. I do remember that first talk that we had, and it's amazing. I could never expect receiving this prize, okay? And then, but it has been a fantastic opportunity because an opportunity of talking about biologicals. Because you see, Roger, I started to work with biologicals more than 4 decades ago. And at that time, people just said that just chemicals had future. But I never had doubt that there was a space, and a very important space of biologicals in agriculture. Of course, we had to do a different thing. We have to think great. It was not just biological for a small scale, like a small farm, a family farm. They are indeed very important. But we had to think about biologicals also applied to great productions, great farmers. Because if something works well for big farmers, it will also work well for small farmers. But then it was not easy at the beginning because, of course, I was just a young agronomist, and everybody saying that I would have no future, that I had to go to the chemicals. But I never had doubts, and I never thought about really stop working with biologicals. So having this recognition today, receiving this prize for somebody that dedicated their life to the use of biologicals in agriculture is really something that I could never dream about.
We were researching some of your interviews and some of your speeches, and what I realized that the way you were recognized, almost like a Nobel Prize of Agriculture, you are always talking about farmers, and you're always talking about sustainable agriculture. And that really stood out to me. You are not someone who is simply talking about science. Because I always say this, Mariangela, that science doesn't have much meaning unless it can be really utilized by the farmers for their ROI, and also to practice sustainable farming at larger scale. So that's what I wanted to ask you. After the award, your journey has changed. So how that journey has been in last 1 year, and especially when you were also part of the process, especially in Brazil, for executing biologicals adoption at the farmers level. Can you share some experiences?
Yes, yes. Well, science, I want to say that science is extremely important. Without science, we do not advance. I wanted to be a scientist since I was a child, so I really enjoy taking some time to try to advance in science. But what I realize is that just science, as you said, it has no meaning in our field and in our country. Like if I was in a very rich country where uh, people can do just one thing or another, maybe my career would be different. But here in Brazil, we really have to apply the science that we get this knowledge, apply to the farmers. And then my life, I dedicated also to this because for me there is no meaning on having a paper published or something at the lab without reaching the farm. And then I always took lots of time to try to go to the farm and to explain the advantages of using the biologicals to transform the knowledge in products that the farmer can use. And I can say that as exciting as to have a new paper published is to have a phone call from a farmer saying that he is happy, that his yield improved, and that he feels very comfortable in using biologicals every time more. And so I really, well, my journey changed with the prize just because there are lots of interviews and everything, and people wanted to talk about the biologicals. But no, my journey will always be to try to advance in science and to transform this knowledge to the benefit of the farmers.
So, you know, I know you have little bit throat problem with Brazil's extreme weather, and climate change is affecting everything these days. A lot of countries are going through the floods, a lot of temperature variations from very low to very high within the day. These things are affecting, even though some people feel that climate change is not real, but I think climate change effect is real, as I can see with your cold. So I just wanted to pitch in a little bit support for the climate change, and that we should be very careful and watch out with our carbon footprint and everything. But coming back to our discussion, you know that I have been in the industry almost 35, 40 years, and I watch every single development. What is more intriguing for me, I don't know if people have realized this, that in your research, what is the most unique thing is that your research is related to nitrogen fixation. And nitrogen fixation is one topic where you go to China, India, several countries, and these days everyone is claiming nitrogen fixation. I have, first of all, why I am celebrating this success, because in nitrogen fixation, I have seen a lot of talks, but at the field level, I have not seen this kind of success for a pioneering research. So I just want to ask you, first of all, about your research, that the nitrogen fixation research, what you have done and the award was given, how did you make it possible at the field level to be successful? And at the same time, I would like to hear from you. Do you know or do you watch other transformative innovations or the practices we should all support? So I just have two questions in one question. One is about your nitrogen fixation research, and is there anything else we should watch out for?
Well, I believe that the success of nitrogen fixation here, particularly with the soybean, because I work at the soybean center and I dedicated most of my career nitrogen fixation with the soybean, is really we have to do the experiments and we have to test the conditions in each country with with each crop. Okay, so that was usually what I see is that people just do one experiment or another one, and that's it. No, we have to really prove and to go to the farmers and to show the benefits and everything. And one wonderful thing about the biologicals is that mainly now that we are seeing some big challenges in relation to the international market and like molecules from multinationals and everything. Biologicals are wonderful because each country, each even if each state or even each property, they can find their biological solutions without being dependent on molecules from multinationals that usually are not as effective as the biologicals. So we do not, we can transform the industry in each country to produce these biologicals, to be independent in agriculture because usually for countries like Brazil, third world countries, developing countries, we do not possess these chemical molecules. So that's the real transformation that we can get to find each country to find their own biological solutions. Now, what I see you ask about the transformative, disruptive science, and so on. I think that we can reach great advances thinking about innovative science. But what I see is that we have so many wonderful solutions that we know that are real and we are not using. One of them is nitrogen fixation with legumes. Even considering Brazil, we have decades of research. So we have today almost 100 strains that have been selected, are elite strains for almost 100 legumes, including grain crops, temperate, subtropical, pastures, trees, green manure. But people use just for the soybean. Okay, they and we have reports and we have field data showing hundreds of kilograms of nitrogen by these pastures and everything, and they are not used. So we do not need any innovative science and so on. If we do need to advance in other crops, other situations, and so on, but the important thing is that we do have wonderful solutions that we know that were field tried, but that we are not using. One of them, and I believe that's a major one, nitrogen fixation with a variety of legumes worldwide.
And that's a fantastic way. I want to congratulate also the Brazilian landscape because of scientists like you who understood that the commercialization of science or the commercial value creation from the science is equally important, not just publishing papers. So that's why you almost transformed also the Brazilian innovation industry, because earlier people used to think that Brazil is more a consumption of innovation landscape, not so much innovator themselves. So congratulations again. And now I will switch a little bit from just the nitrogen fixation to one thing you mentioned, which is very important for the whole global world to know, that they don't have to do copy and paste, if I understood you correctly. Uh,
Yes.
Brazil has its own diversity. And so you can do your own innovation. You can find different kind of solutions in your own nature, in your own uh, ecosystem. And so the countries should try to be a little more self-reliant as well, learning from each other. Uh,
Yes.
do you agree with me?
Yes, and the thing is that I do believe that microorganisms they really they co-evolve in a biome or in an environment. And then of course the best microorganism for a country, for a biome, will be found in that biome, in that ecosystem. I had once a very interesting story. There was a fantastic microorganism for fossil solubilization in Canada. Wonderful results. I was really impressed. And then they came to Brazil. I went to try in several field trials and did not work. And then I was surprised because the Canadians are very good, very serious, and I did believe very much in their data obtained there. And then suddenly, in one place in Brazil, I had a good result. And it was in a very cold region here, a high region here in Paraná State. And then, of course, this strain was from Canada. They have cold weather there. In Brazil, it's tropical, so this strain did not was very good for a cold, a temperate country, but not for a tropical country. So that was something that I learned. And I think that's very nice that each country can do lots of innovation, searching for within their own biodiversity solutions for agriculture. One thing is very important. It's not just biodiversity, okay? Because in nature, what happens? In nature, we do not have maize producing 10,000 kilograms per hectare, soybean producing 8,000 kilograms per hectare. So we have to go to the nature, but we have to improve these bacteria to so that they will be able to supply everything that we need in modern crops. So nature, biodiversity is the source, but we probably have to do some improvements, and that's when we have lots of room for innovation in each country. Okay, because it's an innovation that can be done for each country, and then it will be very nice because these products are cheap. We do not have to pay royalties. Okay, they are much cheaper than the chemicals. We can apply innovation, we can apply in science, and we can have jobs producing these biologicals for agriculture.
This is a very good segue for my next comment and question. First of all, thank you very much for joining the Women in Agriculture Leader Forum at the Global BioAg Alliance. And we talked about Canada, we talked about different countries and how every country is different. And we should try to really connect the world. And as you know, you and I were talking the other day when you were driving that why we are doing the Global BioAg Alliance is for that reason. Because in just 10, 15 minutes, we talked about few country examples. And I have noticed personally, and I'm sure you will agree with me, that there are so many best practices are in silos. They are lost. They are not, exchanged globally. They are not shared, and that's the reason why we are starting Global BioAg Alliance. And in this Global BioAg Alliance, we don't want to just create an alliance like a lot of people do. Uh, we are trying to make it functional. We are trying to make the real impact. So, in this impact, what we have done is we have created 8 forums. One of the forum is your forum, Women in Agriculture Leader Forum, and the idea again is that we will have 5 women leaders, and also there will be other women leader champions who will join. But out of that, you are representing Latam and the Americas. So I just wanted to see, how do you see in Latam, but also globally, because you travel, women leaders' role, is it transforming? Do you feel that you are in control and you can do what you want to do, or you feel that it's still a little bit more male dominated society and we should change something? What do you think about that?
Well, it's interesting because I did lots of self-reflection. What happens? I studied agronomy. I went to the university to study agronomy because I wanted to produce food, okay? Because I wanted to contribute to the world producing food. But today, then I learned and I studied and with the trips that I did and everything, that to produce food is very important, but it's not does not solve the problem of food security. So today, I think that the real important thing is food and nutritional security, and the role of women. And I have seen this everywhere. Okay, women are much more important for no, not that they are more important. Yes, they are important
Yes,
because
they are.
they play a major role in food security. Much bigger than the male. Why? But the problem is that this very important role of women all over the world in food security is usually not considered. It's like they are invisible because when you go to a family, the women are there practicing cultivating the horticles. They save the best seeds for the next season. They prepare the food. They have this traditional of preserving, preparing the food that comes from the grandmother to the mother to them. They really care, and they are the main responsible for feeding the children in the family, feeding the old people in the family, and this goes on to the education. Okay, usually the teachers that are trying to build a new generation of eating more healthy foods. Okay, they are usually women. They are teachers in for elementary schools, and this goes on and on till reaching us agronomists, scientists, extensionists in the farmers. So I believe that women are really we make the impact in food security. We do not have to talk today only about producing food. It's the whole chain of food security. So uh, if we play the major role, we have to be recognized by our leadership. We still are not. Usually, maybe I was recognized because I'm a scientist, but I want the recognition of the woman that prepares the food at home.
I really this is very refreshing. Thank you so much, Mariangela. Not many interviews or people I talk to have shared this angle, and it really hit me hard in a very practical way that the women start from the childhood to the adulthood to mother to a professional, and every single stage of their lives they are contributing towards food safety, food security, first for the children, for the or the family, and then through their profession. But at the same time, if you go to a particular management boardroom, or if you go to a meeting, you still see that not many women leaders are there. So that's the reason why we made this the forum, because we want to raise the bar, and people have to realize that I call the women the silent achievers, just like I realize about you being a silent achiever. But there are a lot of women leaders who are silent achievers, and they are not really highlighted. And that's the main purpose of our Women in Agriculture Leader Forum, where you will be contributing significantly. Now, when I was talking to you,
Well, Roger,
yeah,
then it's very important I believe that to have women leaders, as I said, not just in the top, we have to have like women farmers leaders, and so because they for small farmers and everything. So we have to raise this leadership to find a way of giving more confidence to make these women more visible. And I believe that this alliance will be can help a lot in that. And if we can help women to be more recognized for their importance in in nutritional security, we'll be contributing to a better world.
absolutely. Thank you so much for saying that, and that's the reason why we made it truly global. You will meet a lot of your counterparts from Africa, even Australia, Asia, and of course Europe and North America. And the purpose is the same. That how do we start bringing the women leaders who are making an impact, and even if they are not making an impact and trying to make an impact, we have to raise their voices, so that's the reason this forum is so important. As we talk about other forums, I feel that everything really is unity in diversity, as I call it. Every other part of our stakeholder chain is equally important. For example, I am a big fan or big believer of farmer centricity. I'd say this, Mariangela, I will share this with you that the farmers are the biggest risk takers in the world, because they really don't know what they are going to put, they are going to get back or not, because anything can go wrong, from the weather to the, uh, anything that they don't even know if they are going to harvest. But they still survive, and they're resilient, and they are the one making the food safety and food security possible. Then the scientists like you, um, why I'm bringing this topic about the partnership between all the stakeholders, whether this industry or the companies or your regulators or governments, investors, because Brazil again has led by example. If you look at about your law of bio inputs, so in this, what you have done, you have created this new law of bio inputs, and now it's going to be a regulation soon. How do you feel the stakeholder interaction worked? Because I want to use this as a good example for the world to learn from. What are your thoughts about the stakeholder engagement in that particular example?
Well, indeed, these last years were not a very good experience for me. We had a very strong legislation about the bioinputs because, Roger, one key thing for a successful story calls quality. Okay. If we do not have bioinputs of quality, then of course it will not work on the farm, and then the farm will say that biologicals do not work and so on. So quality is very important. And I believe that the legislation has to be, um, we have to different contributions. So science and scientific knowledge, they cannot, they have to be decided by scientists, not by stakeholders. Okay. Now, transportation, legislation, how to do the control and everything, then this has to be done for stakeholders, industries, and so on. What we had here last year, that now we hope that with regulation will not be like this one, is like people from, not from scientists. They want to decide what's scientific or not, and that's not a good way. So what we want, there are things that we in science we say, like you have to have a very pure and safe microorganism that you know that will be safe in your environment. Only then you can make a commercial product to be used by the farmers. Okay, this is what science say. But what do the many people said, and they finally they succeeded bad. No, microorganisms are wonderful. They could never harm any environment or anything, so just use whatever you want. That's not true. We from science, we do not know. So we have to have everybody talking together to delineate a legislation, but each one has to be considered in their knowledge. So I'll never talk about how the transportation in the roads or how to label the products or whatever. It's not my field, but I'll say microorganisms, you have to use microorganisms that can be safe to use, okay? Uh, Preferentially from their own biodiversity, okay? And that has to be respected.
No, I fully agree with you, and I think on the one side, the law of bioinputs is going to really bring the bioinput solution and adoption quicker to the market. At the same time, we have to be careful that it doesn't create a biological COVID in the crop.
Exactly. Yeah, Roger, because once you put a microorganism in a soil, you can never displace it. So our successful story in Brazil, that's a typical example. Our successful story for the soybean is because we only used the strains that we knew that were safe and they were okay. And then we have under control and it's going very well. But look at the USA. They have there in the Midwest the USDA 123 that can never be displaced. They are do not succeed in putting something better. So we have to take care about a lots of care with what we are introducing in agriculture, because these microorganisms will not die. They will survive and they will be there forever. So we cannot put something that can be dangerous in the soil.
So the message is very clear. If I can summarize for you, and you can nod, that there's no doubt that we need to create the regulation which is favorable to have alternative biologicals to bring to the farmers as quickly as possible. But at the same time, you are cautioning everyone that it should be with the clear regulation and boundaries. So only science-based products or the innovation comes to the market or to the farmers, and not something which can be dangerous and irreversible. Is that the right conclusion from what you are saying?
Yes, and look, for example, I see many published papers in many countries, and I can tell about our experience here. We have a cultural collection of more than 5,000 strains. I have many strains here that are incredible in promoting plant growth. Really incredible. But then we do the genome, we do some tests, and we see that this strain carries genes that can be pathogenic to animals or even humans. Because what happens is not that one strain is just good or one strain is just bad. Sometimes you have good and bad genes in the same strain, okay? And so many pathogens that we see, but there are human pathogens or animal pathogens, but they promote plant growth. Okay, but I'm not going to use such a strain in a bioinput. So one to be the first step in selecting a biological is to be sure that's a safe organism.
No, I really, and this is very important kind of conclusion for me for the last question, because first of all, thank you so much that you have really opened your heart and being very clear, and there's no ambiguity that science with care is that what we have to go for, not just for the dollars and quick money, but science with care, so we do not create any problems for ourselves. uh, on that passionate note, with your very clear leadership quality and being a recognized women leader, what kind of guidance and the message will you like to give for the younger scientist leaders or the women in agriculture leaders globally? uh, how they should approach their success graph for the future, because you know that not many women are getting into sustainable farming related fields, and a lot of them are happy to just to go to the lab and not to be in the more limelight of the leadership and try to be more influencer. What is your message for them?
Well, the thing is that uh, first you have to do everything with passion. Okay, so women, today women still listen to more no's than men. Okay, so we have to persist. The way is still a little bit harder for us than for men. And so maybe some women are just want to be at the lab because there's less challenge than to go to the real world. But the thing is that the satisfaction of seeing that you are doing a useful science. Today, one word extremely important in all the countries that I know is citizenship science. Okay, so we have to have this science for the society. Okay, to advance in science, even in basic science, is also extremely important because we are allowing the humanity to have higher knowledge and maybe better solutions in the future. But also, if you have something that can be useful for the society, and you are not transferring this knowledge to the society, then, of course, there is no uh, there, I see no meaning in the word. Okay, I believe that every scientist he wants to give to the humanity a better change, a chance of a better humanity. So women, just go ahead. I believe that one thing that I believe very much is that the science of the future is much more female than male. Does not mean that's just women, but I think that properties that I classify as female properties, such as to discuss more the results, to listen more to everybody, to work in groups, not just alone, not to be a lonely star, but to be a group star. And I believe that science in the future will have these qualities and that they are female. Sorry.
No, no, please take some water.
Okay.
So I think what you have summarized, this is very important, Sulakshana, also for young leaders like you. I think I'm lucky to recognize. So I think this interview must have been very inspiring for you as well.
Of course, Roger. It was such an interesting conversation between you two. I just want to keep it going and just listen to her talking.
So one thing came out very clearly, I think, first of all, that other than the inherent qualities in the women scientists or women in general, um, if they can add little more voice to their passion, which they already have, that will really make them be recognized more across the globe. And that's what I took from your comment. And of course, because you are the forum ambassador, we will keep talking more, and hopefully we will have more interviews like that. But thank you again, Mariangela. Once again, congratulations. Please feel better soon. And I will personally, when I come to Brazil, I will come and see you. And otherwise, I will see you in Valencia. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much for being with us today. Thanks a lot.